Watching F5, we are here at Mobile World Congress 2025 in Barcelona, Spain. We're in this beautiful F5 booth, and here is where we can meet with our customers and our partners. Today we have WWT with us, and I've got David with me. David, can I get you to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Dave Clough. I'll handle architectures and solutions for global service provider.
Fantastic. Okay, so I have been bragging about this recent trip that I did to St. Louis. I got to see the global headquarters, I got to see the integration center, 1 million square foot facility, and there's multiple of them, and the Advanced Technology Center, the ATC, and the AI Proving Grounds.
Right.
And so we're actually, I just got to take a look at this, which is a great summary of what you guys are doing more specific to AI. And when I saw this, the first thing that popped into my mind was that from an F5 perspective, we kind of hang out over here and we kind of expect some of the inputs into decision making to already happen, but that happens because of folks like WWT, where you're actually speaking to data scientists and to developers and machine learning folks to be able to come to a decision or come to the inputs that will allow us to make a decision around what the AI factory actually looks like.
Yep.
And if people make those decisions before having that data, they will make the wrong decisions or make assumptions and waste money, waste time. Right now, I think with AI, it's time to value and figuring out that value, because it's often undiscovered right now. People are trying to figure out where this fits in. So maybe you can walk us through like what this all looks like before we get to a decision around hardware.
Yeah, I think it first really comes down to understanding the problem, understanding the user, understanding the environment. So what we'll do there is we'll actually go in and understand the business problem. So we actually look at the data science behind this, making sure we have the right data sets, the right understanding. And that's really critical because you need to make sure you have a good mechanism that cleans the data, make sure the data is reliable, it's in the right places, in the right format, and actually has the right data governance behind it. Because one of the things we've seen with a couple of different instances is well-meaning individuals will take their data, bring it to a hyperscaler chatbot, whatever. It gives really good output, but you don't realize that your data just went in and into some other system, which is not actually necessarily good for your compliance.
Yep.
And that's actually rather critical. We also see the management of that stuff, governance, and then the security, but also how do you transport and maintain and support that over time. So that's really where this gets prototyped. You do a paper study, understand that well. Then what you do is we bring it into the AI Foundry where we start to test those profiles, make sure we run through, okay, how does this actually going to work? What is the sizing that we have on this? How much capacity do we need for the initial phases? But also I think as you want to do, like whenever you build a house, is you want to make sure you have that good foundation so that as you build on top of it, nothing's out of kilter. Yeah. And then you might want to say, okay, over time I want to expand this. How am I going to make sure that I can expand this properly? And that's the other thing we actually build in from the beginning. So we're not going back through and ripping and then replacing again. And then once we do that, we understand that well, now we actually start to pull that system together. Now, all along these processes, we actually have feedback loops. So if we run into something here, we can actually go back down here and understand that well, and then make sure that once we get through the factory, we actually kit that system out. We have a high degree of delivery competency, and then maintenance and support competency after that. And that's another thing that we don't necessarily show on this. This is kind of get you started, but we're there all along the way. So from delivery, and then the other thing we consistently see is how do we maintain and support that over time. We're often seeing, upgrades and expansions going on because AI is just chews up a tremendous amount of resources and has to expand as you get more and more successful with that system. Yeah. And that's been really a good capability we have. I would say on the factory and delivery, we have the ability to implement and support that out of our St. Louis facility. We have over 4 million square feet there. We have, I think we're just doubling our size in Amsterdam, so we'll be up about 500,000 square feet there. Then we have locations in Mumbai, Singapore, and then we just opened up a new facility in UAE.
Wow.
And we're continuing to add and iterate around that and make sure you have the right supply chain. And that's the other thing as you go through the factory and delivery. We have found that this has been a major stumbling block for folks that try to do it alone. Because you really need to understand, okay, storage delivers in the right time, I got the right optical implementations at the right time, I got cooling, I have power, all that stuff coming together properly.
I'm going to key off of that too, in that I think there might be a little bit of an assumption around folks thinking that AI is another application. It is an application, it has APIs, it needs security to it, but there's a lot of aspects here that I don't think we put enough weight on, and then all of that culminates to a refactoring of what this data center now looks like. And you mentioned some of the changes now people have to adopt in their data centers. It's not just plugging servers into a rack anymore, and then just a little bit of increment on your HVAC load. It is a lot of power cooling that you guys are having to spec out and manage.
Yeah, it's also, there's a number of issues that come up. It's also safety related, it's power and cooling related, and others. So typically what we'll see in a normal power distribution unit is you'll pull 220 feet in and you do 120 out to the different machines. Now we're doing 408 or other power loads in, and then 220 to the feeds. And we're seeing amperage raise up drastically. We're also seeing the requirement per rack, about a 10-fold increase in power consumption per rack, as well as sometimes 20 times increase. And then that also is requiring us to move from air cooling, which we just can't keep up in some cases. We have done other things where we do door cooling or additional fans, but now we're actually increasingly going towards liquid cooling, whether it be on the chip or full immersion. And that gives us far more efficiency. It offers a far better longevity of the product as things scale out, and that's what we're continually working through. Another key area here is we're looking at massive data loads back and forth into the processing system, and then back out to your disk or your storage arrays, flash arrays. In that case, we have just an incredible increase in the amount of cabling complexity, and so what we try to do is organize that well, so you ride the right amount of cables, right amount of delivery, have the right amount of power, you get the right trades in there to actually deploy that properly, and then support that properly. That's something that just about every one of the installs, we've actually run through a lot of power and cooling and then education around that. And that's what we do in this process to make sure that, and then over time, as that system changes, we can actually affect that as well.
Yeah, and so I guess as you point out there, you're saving yourself from cost risks of speccing out the wrong things or installing wrong, down to cable links, inefficiencies there. And all of those things are just delays in a time where people are trying to achieve time to value with AI, and you can speed that process.
Yeah.
People saying they want to get out of the data center business, but now you're building a data center again, and a very different data center than before. And that if that's not your core business, and your core business is trying to figure out how you get value out of your AI, you guys get people there faster.
Exactly, that's the other thing. And partnering with F5 helps us have the right tools to do that really efficiently and maintain that support over time, have the right security, have the right performance, the right implementation, which is absolutely critical.
Yeah.
So that's actually, it's been a very good partnership, and we continue to develop that. I will say that another thing that's really interesting is that typically we're seeing about an 18-month change or depreciation in some of the investments. So time to value means I've got to get that running. Now, it doesn't mean that after 18 months, those systems are obsolete. They still could be used. But now you're saying, all right, I potentially could get more efficiency out of the newer loads that come in. So that's where we build into these models to say, okay, we're going to keep doing that, offering really good value as you described, continually doing that by making sure we're very efficient and capable and deliver well. And that's the key thing.
Let me know if you come across any heavily discounted DGXs, and we can cut a deal here.
I know. I tell you, the just getting time and being able to be part of this AI studio, the solution, and the amount of enjoyment it gets when you get really good AI outcomes, and the relief you see with customers. Hey, I know how to do this. We're showing people how to do that, and that's what gets me moving along each day, because it's you're able to offer really much better quality experiences, much better quality business out of these innovations that we're putting forward.
So let's just talk about the engagement really quick before we leave, or before we sign off here. We have all of these different people in play here in an organization. Would you say getting engaged with WWT, there's an opportunity to actually bring everybody in together to have a chat for this engagement, and then kind of split off and be like, okay, this is you, this is you, this is you, go from there?
Yeah, and that's actually critical. So what we try to do is get all the stakeholders in for a design day. We'll actually do a design review before we go through a data assessment. We understand, okay, this is how we need to parse through the organization. And then we'll get everybody into the room. We'll actually understand, okay, who does what, who wants to go forward, what requirements that they have, so that we're very, very capable of working with the customer effectively, and then they address what they're going to deliver, what we're going to deliver, and make sure that we do that together. And then if there's any deviation, we have ability to actually go after that quickly. And that's actually, that clearinghouse is, you might say, oh, that might be an extra step, but that's a critical function to making sure you have good data governance, good expectations by your board or your leadership, as well as all the people in the field, your suppliers, and your delivery, because that is that function of making sure you have a good, well-run implementation, and you get to that time to value very, very fast.
Yeah, I can imagine a simple misunderstanding here before buying all the stuff here can change the commas, I think, on this outcome.
And we will protect the innocent, right? But we've been through this several times. We have come back in and helped those customers move forward. So we can help new customers and existing customers avoid a lot of those problems. And one of those areas that we found is being able to partner with F5 and adding some of the capabilities and tooling around that really helps offer a lot more efficiency, as we talked about earlier, and a lot better security for a lot of customers so that they can be successful and have a great experience.
Awesome, thank you, David.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, this is great. I've got a video, if you haven't checked on my social media already, of my visit at St. Louis. Went through the Advanced Technology Center and the AI Proving Grounds. We have gear, I think, landing any day now with some additional F5 equipment into there that really just beefs up your ability to test everything all together and engage the WWT folks. So I would encourage you, if you haven't already, gathering all the people that are involved in your AI projects, or at least just AI discovery, to maybe look at an engagement with the folks at WWT. So we'll leave some information down below, links to all that kind of stuff, and otherwise, thank you very much for checking out this video. Make sure you follow us on LinkedIn, on X, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, and otherwise we will see you on the next one. Bye now.
Bye.